Hello YouTube, this is Bruno. Have you ever built an iron farm that didn't work? Or even worse, the farm worked at first and then stopped working? Then this video is for you. This is just a short troubleshooting video. If you really want to know everything about iron farms that is there to know, then I'd recommend you check out Gnemmon's video. I will link them, of course, because he made 2 videos about iron farms that explain all of the mechanics. But let's give you the cliff notes how an iron farm works and what can go wrong. This video is for the Java edition and for the Java edition only. Unfortunately, iron golem spawning works very different in the Bedrock edition. In this cell we have 5 villagers and they can spawn an iron golem when they are gossiping, which they do at certain times of day. This iron farm isn't very efficient, and even on day 1 of a new survival world there are more efficient options that you can use. For example, ENX04's iron farm that I will also link in the description. But you can also use only 3 villagers and spawn iron golems at all times of day if you scare them. For example, these villagers are happy and safe, but if they have line of sight to this zombie, they will pretty much immediately spawn an iron golem. But there are more conditions. Villagers will spawn an iron golem only if they haven't seen an iron golem in the last 35 seconds. This is Java 1.19. It used to be 30 seconds in Java 1.18 and lower versions, and this is a bug that hopefully will get fixed one day. The detection range is 16 blocks in each direction. So if there is any other iron golem in a 16 by 16 by 16 block distance, then they might detect it and not spawn one. And of course they must find a valid spawn point. All of the farms are designed so that there is a rather high chance of this happening. And again, I won't cover all of the details in this video. So this is pretty much the simplest farm that you could design, but it's much more efficient to use the panicking mechanic. This is a design described first by Gnemon, I believe, where we use the fact that villagers will try to spawn iron golems at the same time. So all of these 4 villagers will see the same mob, which is pushed up in just the right interval so that the villagers will spawn an iron golem. And of course then we will try to get the iron golems out of detection range. This is why we dropped them about 20 blocks, because then they are out of the 16 by 16 by 16 area. The villagers can see the iron golems even if they are still alive, and the 35-second counter starts again. So this clock is set to something like 45 seconds. Every 45 seconds we'll push up the mob. The best mob to use for several villagers is a pillager. These villagers are at least 10 blocks apart from each other, otherwise they wouldn't spawn the iron golems independently. So what can go wrong? Now, the first and maybe most important issue is that villagers have to have slept during the last night to spawn an iron golem. Now, I removed the blocks here just now, so the villagers still have slept during the last night, so they are scared by the zombie and they will spawn iron golem. And this will still work during the next night, because the villagers still have slept in the last night. But once this night is over, this farm won't spawn any iron golems, because the zombie has constant line of sight to the villagers. They are panicking all of the time and they will not sleep. Looking at an iron farm at night is very important, because you can see that all of the villagers are sleeping, and you can also verify that the villagers are scared by the zombie or the pillager or whatever mob you use. Now, the solution to the scaring problem is to break the line of sight, of course, and there are 2 ways to do this. Once, you have a clock that pushes up the zombie from time to time, which means the villager will see the zombie, will spawn the iron golem, and after that they will go back to sleep. Remember, we need 35 seconds until we can spawn the next iron golem from the time when the iron golem dies, because this is the last time when the villagers can see the iron golem. So this clock is set to something like 45 to 50 seconds. Basically you figure out how long it takes for an iron golem to be killed here and add 35 seconds to this time, and this is the time of the clock. Now, a lot of farms recommend that you put the zombie in a water bubble. This solution is very easy to build and doesn't need any redstone. You can observe that the villagers will on occasion sleep, because from time to time the line of sight is broken. But unfortunately it's rather terrible from a lag standpoint, because villagers are rather laggy. They are especially laggy if they are scared and not sleeping. And in this farm the villagers are scared all of the time. On this farm the villagers are just scared for 3 seconds and then they can sleep for 45 seconds. So this farm design is a lot more laggy. You can of course build it on day 1 of your survival world, but then I'd recommend to replace the water column by a redstone clock that pushes up the zombie, just for lag reasons, especially if the iron farm is in spawn chunks or you use a chunk loader to run the iron farm all of the time. For multi-core farms like this, you will get better rates if you push up the pillager using a redstone clock from time to time, compared to just having it sit in a bubble column. Okay, so now you have broken the line of sight, like so, and your farm still isn't spawning any iron golems. And again, the key is to observe the farm at night. Now one villager is sleeping, but the others are not. And the reason for that is typically that the beds are claimed by other villagers. Now this can happen especially if in creative mode, if you try to build a farm and you use maybe world edit to copy areas. But this can also happen in survival if for some reason another villager has seen this bed and claimed it. And I even have seen that suddenly the villagers lose the connection to their beds, so the iron farm may have worked for months and maybe you upgrade it to a new version of Minecraft or something, and suddenly the villagers are no longer sleeping. In this case, maybe they lost the connection to their beds. And the way to fix that is just to break the bed, so lock the villagers in place, using a block here, remove the bed, place it again, allow the villager access, and hopefully after a short time the villager starts sleeping. The same for this other guy. And now your farm should work. Now if you have broken the line of sight and the villagers are sleeping, and you still can't spawn any iron golems, then perhaps check the environment. There may be an iron golem just close enough that these villagers can see this iron golem. The iron golem probably wouldn't be in a glass cage, but it might be in an underground cave. There are 2 ways to fix this. One way, which I prefer, is just to build this farm about 20 blocks in the sky, so I don't have to worry that these villagers can spot any iron golems that wander around. Now the alternative is to kill all of the iron golems and to spawn-proof the area, but remember you have to go 16 blocks out from every block where a villager can be. So you'd need to spawn-proof an area that is pretty much 16 by 16 around the villagers. And remember to spawn-proof all of the caves that are within 16 blocks height of this farm. So the world download contains the 3 examples here that you can check out, also the solutions. This design here is actually my favorite iron farm design. I have built this a number of times and it always worked perfectly for me. Even though it is of course a bit of a hassle to get 12 villagers and 1 pillager in place. And if your iron farm still doesn't work, then please check out Gnemmon's videos. Most likely the explanation why your farm doesn't work is in there. But from my observation, judging from Reddit forums and Discord communities, typically if an iron farm doesn't work, it has to do something that villagers can sleep or that an iron golem is detected in the vicinity. In older videos you might find references that the villagers need to have workstations to spawn iron golems. This is no longer true since version 1.16. As you have seen from these examples, iron farms work perfectly fine without workstations. Thanks for watching, leave a like if you want to see more content like this, and see you next time. Bye bye!